you are tired of all of those cookie cutter workouts and are looking for something that targets your entire body, pretty much every single muscle fiber, something that combines strength with coordination, with endurance, with balance, with flexibility, all in one single exercise, you've come to the right place. If you can go through the whole thing, 2 sets for each one of those exercises, you're gonna be amazed at how effective a short 20-minute exercise routine can be. And if you can do this 5, 4, even just 3 times a week, you can basically take care of all of your workout needs within one single routine. So if you're ready, let's go and have some fun. Combining posterior chain strength and anterior chain strength with complete upper body rotation using our neck as support in this reverse tabletop position, we have to keep our posterior chain flexed, making sure to lock our hips at knee height and then go through as long a rotational movement pattern as we can muster. Working both on our transverse abdominis as a main focus, as well as our spinal erectors and our back musculature through those rotational movement patterns, while having a nice static strengthening bonus of our glutes, our hamstrings, and our calf musculature. The longer the range of motion in this exercise, of course, the better. Combining core strength with hip flexor strength, one of the lesser worked on problem zones, as well as stabilization throughout our arms and shoulders, adding to the balancing effect. An amazing exercise for almost complete anterior chain strength with deep squat mobility. Always make sure to extend your knee completely so we can actively flex our quads to combine them with the hip flexor and abdominal strength we are building throughout this exercise. Adding a touch of upper body strength through the pulling motion of the kettlebell, which we can increase by increasing the resistance as we progress. An exercise that will help you build on more advanced calisthenic skills, like for instance the L-sit, extended leg raises, or for instance the windshield wiper. Combining the benefits we could get from holding a shortened plank position or a static bear position with a rotation for our core as well as our back musculature and our rear delts in the rotation, while adding flexibility bonuses for our pectorals and our anterior delts in the extended arm. Having to hold massive tension in our core not to lose our balance, adding hip flexor as well as quad strength for combining upper body with lower body strength, helping us with strengthening our spinal erectors or our lumbar spinal musculature, as well as increasing spinal mobility through ever-increasing ranges of motion in the rotation and increasing the resistance to increase the difficulty of the exercise. An amazing exercise for complete anterior chain flexibility, starting all the way down at the quad insertion surrounding our knee, moving throughout our hip flexors, our abdominals, and our pectorals, all the way to our anterior delts, and giving us massive strength benefits for our posterior chain, specifically our glutes and our lower back musculature when pushing our hips forward. Of course, combined with the arm strength and shoulder strength we get from raising the kettlebell above our head. Additionally, this will also help us get deeper into a stretch for our anterior chain and deeper into spinal extension when pushing forward as far as we can. And as a bonus, you can try to hold the front of the movement pattern for a handful of seconds for extra flexibility benefits. Now, adding a little bit more biceps strength with shoulder strength and combining that with shoulder mobility, especially when it comes to rotation and movement patterns behind our head, helping us increase overhead mobility in conjunction with adding as much strength benefits as we can through rotational shoulder movement patterns, requiring core engagement for stabilization in our upper body, keeping our glutes flexed to keep our hips completely extended, having a nice stretch in our pectorals and our anterior delts specifically, as well as an amazing stretch in our triceps when moving that weight behind our head. Additionally, we can increase that anterior chain upper body flexibility by moving lower behind our head the more we advance in this exercise. Increasing the benefits we can get from classic push-up exercises, we have a one-sided elevated push with some assistance from the lower arm. For one, we are opening up our chest and anterior delts once more, adding a nice flexibility bonus there. We have a longer range of motion for our elevated arm, meaning we have a lot more engagement there and more strength benefits as we progress. And due to the unilateral nature of this exercise, we also have a ton of core engagement, which is going to help us in the long run, not just with classic pushing exercises, but also with static exercises like plank positions, for instance. And holding the top of the movement for longer and longer periods of time can help us increase our core engagement benefits even more. And what's a good full body workout routine without my favorite lower body exercise, the cossack squat? I'll tell you what it is, not worthwhile. The cossack squat is an amazing exercise when it comes to building lower body strength combined with lower body flexibility. The stretching benefits already starting surrounding our ankles, moving through our gastrocnemius, our soleus, our biceps femoris, all the way throughout our entire hamstrings towards our glutes, and opening up our adductors, lengthening them the lower we move into this position. And since we are raising one heel and moving into external rotation in the extended leg, that means we have a ton of stabilization requirements, not only from our foot musculature, but also from our core musculature. Of course, the calf, quad, and glute strength benefits are self-evident. Combining massive amounts of core strength with hip flexor strength and the tiniest bit of quad strength as well, we have extended leg and butt raises with added resistance. Switching between symmetrical movements to the middle, combined with rotational movements to add more oblique engagement and add more rotational strength, specifically also for our lower back musculature, and teaching us how to stabilize our body in an overhead position, which can help us a lot when working on things like the handstand, for instance. Not to mention that now, as opposed to the cossack squat, where we have a lot of adductor stretches, we now have a lot of adductor strength benefits due to flexing the insides of our thighs to keep our legs together to be able to hold that resistance in place. The more you can keep your legs extended, the harder the exercise will become. Increasing your range of motion will do the same. And if you truly want to have a challenge for not just your core, but your entire body, slow this movement down as much as you can and enjoy the burn. Now, if you're someone who sits a lot, this is an exercise I would definitely not skip. We have all the benefits we get from classic back hyperextension or lumbar extension, strengthening our lower back musculature, which usually loses a lot of strength due to a sedentary lifestyle and leads to a lot of issues with our back. The added rotation at the top of the movement pattern can help us not only with control, but also with even more strength benefits when it comes to spinal rotation movements. And of course, massive core engagement and oblique engagement to hold the top while we go through those rotational movement patterns. Returning once again to a lower body focus with massive engagement of our quads and glutes in those stand-up exercises where we never truly extend our legs to keep as much tension and as much pressure on our upper leg musculature and our glutes as possible. Once again, an exercise that would help us a lot with lower body coordination due to the unilateral movement pattern nature, while helping us work a lot on our ankle mobility as well as our hip mobility, specifically in those lower positions. You can play around with a wider stance, which is going to help us a lot with more glute strength, or a narrower stance, which is going to require a lot more balance and concentration. Of course, always keeping the necessary depth, which means that our hip joints should always somewhat be at knee height or slightly lower so we can keep the tension going all the way. And as a finisher, we add Bulgarian split squats, which speak for themselves with all their benefits: hip flexor flexibility, quad flexibility, lower abdominal flexibility, quad strength, and now combine it with the tiniest bit of core strength once again through rotational movement patterns for our upper body. This way, we require even more balance throughout the entire movement pattern. And by now, we already know that increased balance requirements means that we get increased core strength benefits. Once again, combining strength, balance, flexibility, and coordination all in one single movement pattern. There you have it, a full workout routine targeting pretty much your entire body, combining some mobility with some flexibility, with some strength, with some endurance, with some coordination, with some balance, putting it all together into one single routine that you can do multiple times a week. That is called peak efficiency. So do it as often as you can and just be amazed at how capable your body can become in a short amount of time. If you like the video, and come on, subscribe. We do stuff like that very regularly, which means I'll probably see you soon. So until then, have a good one. Captain Cairo, peace out.